systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, everyone? We are back for another Wednesday edition of the NBA show here with my guy, Matt. Before I bring you in, just want to say what's up to some people in chat. Got Michael W. here, Little Nick, Sean, Newens, Remo, Max, Jason Turner, Go Collect, watching at a local bar. Nice. Hope that beer and sandwich is tasting good. I got Justin here. I got Wardo, Takedown, Nades, Ryan, Nate D, Go Collect again, and Renell. Matt, how you doing today? You got a pretty wild slate on tap, very injury-riddled slate. Feels kind of early for us to have this many injuries and this much value on a slate, but how you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Happy to be talking some hoops with you. It feels like the first real, mid-March NBA slate in early November. So we're going to have to trudge through that. There's obviously good spots all over the place, good value in a lot of different spots. Excited to talk it over. We were talking a little bit before. Great night for the members, so big shout out over there. Love to see it.
Yeah, it leads into exactly what I was going to say. Our guy Wardo had a really good night last night, pretty much placed top 1 to 3 in every contest he was in last night with some of my Jazz in their lineup, so shout out to Wardo. But Wardo is going to be doing a giveaway for members in the Discord after the show. He'll be doing the $40 single entry giveaway tonight. That's a very, very nice gesture from him. Did not need to do something like that, but that's just kind of what we do over here at the Nation. So shout out to Wardo. We'll get that all squared away, but you got to make sure that you're a member and in the Discord to get that. So just want to do a quick little slate overview. What are you on slates like this where you have so much value? Like, what is the strategy as someone that plays 1 to 5 lineups on a night like this? Do you have 100% of your core 3 or 4 guys and then kind of mix and match around there, or are you trying to spread it out a little bit more?
Yeah, depending on how many lineups, let's just say we'll say 3, for example. I'm likely to, whatever my core is, whether it's the 5 guys that I put up on the site, I'm likely to play them in all my lineups, just because I feel like on slates like this, you can just kind of get lost in the shuffle, and there's so many good plays that you kind of want to get to them all, and you can't get to them all anyways. So I'll likely key in and hone in on specific plays. That being said, there's a possibility there's so many good plays that maybe my core is only 3 or 4 that I lock in everywhere tonight. Just kind of have to wait and see, especially, I'm interested to see your takes after talking it out, and honestly, whatever other news, known or unknown, we might get.
Yeah, for sure. I just kind of looking back at some of the spots that we've had earlier this season where we had some value that seemed like it was a lock to hit, like a Ron Holland, and I think even a Bobby Portis. Yeah, Looney. We have to kind of treat those spots a little differently early on the season, just because it's not a guarantee that we're getting minutes from these guys. With that being said, though, there are definitely some spots that I feel pretty confident in, but there's also some spots that I could see us making some pivots. Maybe it'd be better for a 150 max in that $5 tournament tonight, or 20 max. But there are some spots that I'm kind of keying in on. But with that being said, we will jump right into the first game on the slate, which is a game that we're going to have to get some pieces of, because Giannis is going to be out for the Bucks tonight in a really good matchup versus Charlotte, who will also be without Lonzo Ball again. And they have a questionable tag on Ryan Cockburner, which could open up some value in Moussa Diabate. So the Milwaukee stuff is obviously really interesting because Giannis is just such a high usage guy that does everything for the Bucks. That's going to be opening up a lot of usage and touch time and just overall fantasy points to some of these guys. I have some groupings I want to talk through, but I want to hear your thoughts on how you're approaching this Milwaukee value, because it's definitely going to be one that I think we're going to have to get some pieces of.
Yeah, no doubt. Portis certainly isn't the play he was the other game Giannis was out. I think he's only missed one other game, at least on a main slate this year. And obviously Milwaukee was really popular that slate. They'll be popular again. There's some other spots to take away from that Milwaukee ownership. Difficult with the big men, in my opinion. especially Portis, because I don't believe he shared the floor at all with Miles Turner in that game. So, it's not like he's dirt cheap. I think those guys I would group together. Certainly wouldn't want to play both of those together, especially in limited lineups. The main guy I'm looking at is Ryan Rollins at 6,100. He's been good this year, even with Giannis. I'm not completely buying what he's selling for the long term, but in this spot, at this price tag, I think you could make the argument that he is like a top 5 play on this slate, even with other really good values. So he's my favorite play. I like Kuzma. I don't necessarily trust him, but I do like him. And then the big men. Other than that, I don't know how much deeper you really need to go. Sure, Cole Anthony, I guess, would be the other guy. I do like Rollins more, though. And then there's just other really good spots. So are you seeing it similarly or different?
Yeah, I had the exact same thoughts between the big guys. I think that they are starting to overlap a little bit more. Are Portis and Miles Turner, but I still think that they kind of eat into each other enough and the prices are pretty close together that I would probably agree with you that max 1 is probably the way to go there. And then I agree exactly. I'm right there with you on Ryan Rollins. I think that he's a really, really great option tonight. He's the guy that really sees the biggest usage bump, and then the overall fantasy point per minute increase is really good. 1.3 fantasy points per minute with Giannis off the court this season. So I definitely think that he's the best option. But yeah, Cole Anthony is going to be a guy that I'm playing a good amount of. And then I think Kuzma, I don't know. He might be, if this ownership is correct, we have 15%. That might be pretty low for him. He's actually started to turn the corner and is playing pretty well and has been getting talked up a lot by Doc Rivers. So his point per minute stuff and usage numbers are all pretty solid with Giannis off the court as well. And he will be starting. So maybe we run into like a 36-minute game from Kyle Kuzma in a really good matchup. So I think that him and Rollins are for sure my top 1 and 2. And then I would probably say Cole, Turner, Portis is how I would rank it. But I agree. I'm going to be max 1 of Miles Turner and Bobby Portis. And then I also want to be max 2 of the guards, or really just the guys that are going to be handling the ball. And you look at the last game, it was Ryan Rollins who led the team in touch time with Cole Anthony behind him and then Kuzma right behind him as well. So I'm going to be max 2 of those 3 guys because I do think that there's a scenario where Rollins and Cole Anthony can share the court together. But I don't know if I'm going to want 3 of those guys in a lineup.
Yeah, especially with how many other good plays there are. The only counter that I have to what you said, and because I'm in line with everything, I see that we're projecting Kuzma at like 14, 15%, but I'm also seeing other places have him at like 50%. So yeah. I think kind of with all this news and stuff, all these projections and ownership stuff are kind of just getting themselves together in a sense,
Yeah. We'll definitely have to do a few more updates getting closer to lock. But yeah, he'll definitely be pretty high on tonight. I think people are kind of excited about him, which kind of makes me a little bit less excited because I don't really want to play Kuzma into a bunch of chalk.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the Hornets side, I think that there are some pieces here that look pretty good, and it's Miles Bridges and Knicks. Both these guys have been playing really well over the last few games. Bridges coming off of a massive game, 58 points versus the Lakers, and then Knicks falling 1 rebound, 1 stat away from a triple-double. I can't remember. I think it was an assist. 1 assist shy of the triple-double, but he's been playing great as well. 40 plus DK points in 4 straight games, playing upper 30s minutes. I like those guys a good bit here. I think Con is really solid. I think the way that you want to attack Milwaukee is with wings, and especially now with Giannis out, that kind of takes away a lot of foul risks that we would have been scared of playing Miles Bridges on. So I think both those guys are pretty good. And then Diabate is going to be a guy I definitely look to for some value because he's a really strong per minute guy. I'm not too worried about the Miles Turner matchup, especially now. No Giannis in there, another guy that won't have to worry about getting into too much foul risk. So those 3 guys are for sure in play for me. How do you feel about these guys in your 1 to 3 lineups?
I like him a lot here. I think Khan is my favorite. He's been really, really good since the season started, especially recently, obviously with LaMelo out. I like Bridges a lot too. It's just he's more expensive. So if I had to pick one, I would say Khan. That said, there is like a bunch of good, not even necessarily like 3K value, but a bunch of good like plays that are underpriced today where maybe Bridges is just as easy to get to. So I like both of them a lot. Outside of Rollins on Milwaukee, I think I like Khan and Bridges as much or more than anyone else from Milwaukee. So yeah, I think those are the 2 guys for me. Diabate in play right now. If Kalkbrenner's out, I mean, he becomes a really, really strong play. We'll probably get a bunch of ownership, but for good reason. So those three guys, Diabate, Bridges, and Khan, I'm all about them. I think they're three of the better plays on the slate.
Nice. Love to hear that. Right there in lockstep with each other. All right, so next game on the slate, we have Orlando and the Knicks. Don't think there's going to be a lot of ownership going to this game. I'm seeing Suggs with a good amount from a few sites, but even, Saber Sim has him here at 23%. I would imagine it comes down a little bit. I mean, he's projecting really well, mainly because the minutes are probably going to be up near 30 here. It's not really a great matchup for anyone in particular in this game, I don't think. I kind of like the spot for Jalen Brunson the most here, just with the way that the Magic give a ton of on-ball scoring. But, I mean, 9K is kind of expensive for him, especially with all the strength at the value for guards tonight. How do you feel about this game? There are some spend-ups we could potentially go to, but it looks a little thin.
Yeah, I think that kind of your last point, certainly on any slate, like Paolo or Cat or Brunson, like those guys are in play in tournaments. If you're 150ing, you're not taking them out of your field. But for someone like me, I doubt I get to anything from this game except for maybe Suggs. It's tough because when you're playing limited lineups, like you're really choosing Suggs over probably one of the Cleveland guys there. So not sure where I'm at there yet, but he's right in line with them as good of a play. A good producer under 5K. The minutes are there when he's playing right now. So, yeah, I think he looks like far and away the best play in this game.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. He did get up to 41.5 DK points last time out. Does a little bit of everything. It's a good matchup for off-ball scores. I think that him and Bane are probably in the best overall matchup in this game. I don't know if I really want to lock in Suggs early, though, because there are two pretty big spots. There's one big Q tag in the next game or the next time slot in that Memphis game that I think will get some really good value, potentially low owned. So I would probably want to save some spots for that. I also kind of think that there's some guys later tonight that I would play over Suggs, just mainly because they're going to be lower owned, but I'm not going to really argue against Suggs being the best play on Orlando for sure. For the Knicks, it's just Brunson for me tonight, unless we have Wardo in here and he wants to talk us into some any other Knicks, but that's probably only two guys I'm really keeping my player pool tonight.
I do think that's a great point on Suggs though, because it's not like if Memphis doesn't open up, those are the only guys you can play. Yeah. So you have outs elsewhere, and Suggs is a good play, but he's not like the greatest play ever. So you can certainly get away with not playing him. I like that call a lot. I just think you're in a better spot probably not playing him. I'm with that.
Yeah. All right, Wardo, no Knicks tonight. He likes Franz Wagner tonight, though, on the Atlanta side. It definitely can get down with that. This is a game that will have a ton of injury news that could definitely shake up the slate, but we'll have that news beforehand. I'll kick it over to you right away, and you can kind of tell me what you're seeing, some if-then scenarios. If Giddey in, what are we thinking? If Duren and Cade in or out, how are you going to be approaching this one?
So first off, I'm not an injury expert, so I don't know who's in or out. But if I had to hypothesize right now, I think Giddey and Cade are out and Duren's in. That's just kind of how I'm reading the tea leaves. But we'll have to wait and see. I'll start with Giddey because he's the easiest one. We saw that last game. If he's out, all the Bulls are in play again. He's their entire offense. So the Bulls got priced up, but probably not enough for Giddey being out. Yeah, potentially an even better spot here. So just a lot to like from the Bulls side if Giddey's out. If Giddey's in, I think Giddey himself is probably the best play. Not sure I trust it off an ankle injury. He's pricey. If he's in, not sure I want much from Chicago. The Detroit side is real messy. If Cade is out, it opens up everything for everyone else. Price tags, again, kind of like Chicago, but even cheaper, have risen a little bit, but not enough with Cade out. With Duren out, I think that's easy. Paul Reed becomes a smash. That's an easy to talk about. With Cade out, I just think it puts everyone on Detroit potentially as the best plays on the slate over the guys from Milwaukee, over Cleveland. it's a spot where you might want to get like 3 guys from the Pistons because it's a really good spot for them also. Are you seeing it the same? Is there one guy you're like locking in if Cade's out?
Yeah, it would be Dennis Jenkins for sure. I just think that he kind of has a lot of momentum going his way with obviously having the huge game over Ron Holland last time out, but he's kind of their lone like true ball handling guard that would take on a role that was pretty massive for Cade. Probably like 8 minutes of touch time, a ton of usage and assists going his way. So I think that he would probably be a guy that would be close to a lock, I would imagine, for me if Cade were to be out.
I was thinking about Chaz Lanier also.
Yeah, he's another guy to consider as well. 3.8K is a good tag for him. I don't really know enough about him to like give a take though, just because we haven't really seen a ton of him. But I mean, he's a rookie, I imagine, probably pretty good in college.
Very good in college. Played at Tennessee. Had the ball in his hands a lot. Like I will say though, pretty much everyone who's in the NBA is going to be really good in college. So like, you know what I mean? Like that, when people say that, it's just like they obviously were, or most of the time were really good in college. No different with Lanier, but I'm with you on the momentum being on Jenkins' side. Truth be told, I think you could play them both together.
Yeah, definitely agree there. And then the Paul Reed stuff. I mean, he's going to be like a borderline lock if Duren were to miss. It's a great matchup. He's always been a really, really strong per minute producer. And I think that they'll probably just let him play a ton because it sounds like Isaiah Stewart is closer to returning than not. I mean, he was doubtful for this game, and I think that, still doubtful. So, I mean, he's probably a game or two away from being back. So they probably just let Paul Reed play a good bit here and then have, I don't know, like Isaac Jones backing him up, maybe some Bobby Klintman, something like that. I think it's probably one that you're going to have to just let projections dictate who you play. I don't think they'll be playing a lot of Duncan Robinson if you were to get any type of ownership, just because I just don't really see his role changing as much. But like Ron Holland, I know he burned us last game, but he's probably going to have to play a good bit. I think Javonte Green does enough of the peripheral stats where he can be a pretty solid value at 4.7K, shooting guard, small forward, usually a spot you kind of want to spend down at. So I think that he'd be pretty good. And then maybe if we get like Karis LeVert starting and they playing like 26, 28 minutes, he's another guy that can hit in a really big way in a good matchup. So I definitely wouldn't be afraid to play him. But if Cade is out, I probably don't want 2 of the guys that are going to be handling the ball. So that'd be Jenkins, LeVert, and probably Lanier. I think I would group into that. And maybe you could possibly say Javonte Green, but that might be a little bit too restrictive. I think that covers it. And then the same thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to your point, though, and I know Josh Gillum said this in the chat, like, I think Jenkins is much more of a point guard than is Lanier. Like, Lanier is a shooter, scorer, so that would obviously benefit Jenkins. Certainly, Lanier could still get there, but I think if you're looking at who will take on, like, the majority, or not even the majority, a lot of what Cade does, it would be Jenkins. I'm with you.
Yep. Okay, so it sounds like Giddey probably closer to playing than not. He participated in shoot around. Yeah, both Cade and Duren missed shoot around this morning, so good chance that those guys are going to miss. Just like some scenarios if Giddey were to miss, or I guess if he's in, then I'm kind of closer to being off of this guys. I think that Giddey would be okay. I think Vooch is pretty good though. I mean, there's going to be a lot of value at the center position. You might not want to go there, but he has a really strong track record of hitting in a big way against Detroit. I think a lot of that is kind of just due to the way that Duren plays. Like Vooch is a very finesse type of center, not really a guy that's going to like overpower you. And Duren's like just freaky athletics. I think that he kind of has an upper hand there on offense, but he's had some really good games against Duren. So I think that if Duren is in, that's sneaky good for Vooch. And then if Giddey is out, you are looking to Vooch because he will see a usage bump. Trey Jones had a really, really strong role, like the role of like a 7.5K point guard. So he'd be in play again. I think that Ayo would probably be my favorite. I just think that he just does a lot, and they probably want to play him more over guys like Booz Ellis and Isaac Okoro. So I think that he'd be my favorite just because he's the cheapest of the bunch. But yeah, definitely a game that you're going to want to get deep into because it's a lot of value could definitely open up here.
Yeah, for sure. And I was like dyslexic in speaking that earlier. I read it wrong. Yeah, you said it right. Giddey is more likely to play, and the Pistons guys are more likely to be out. So certainly if that is the case, I think you're going to want at least some Detroit exposure on this slate.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next game, heading over to Boston, where Memphis comes in. I don't think that these totals are right. I believe that they're something like 7-point underdogs tonight. But John Morant did get a downgrade. He is questionable tonight. I'm kind of thinking that he misses. Played a good bit last night. They got beat down in New York. And obviously, I mean, we don't really have to talk about all the stuff going on there, but I think that there's a good chance for Ja to miss. So this is kind of a spot that I'd want to wait on because that's another guy that's a high usage guy you're taking out of the lineup and potentially replacing him with a really, really strong permanent producer in Cam Spencer. I would much rather play Cam Spencer over Jalen Suggs and probably over any guard, probably not named Lonzo on the Cavaliers, just because this guy, he does a lot of everything. And yeah, I think that there's a chance that we could get him potentially kind of low owned. I think people will definitely look to go there off of some Cavalier stuff if he is announced as a starter, but definitely a spot I'm kind of excited and play Cam Spencer tonight because if he's playing 30 plus minutes, I think he could really, really smash in a big way. But yeah, with Ja off the court, you're going to see pretty big usage bumps to Jaren, Santi, and Cedric Howard. All those guys should benefit in a pretty big way from a role perspective. I don't think I would mind going to Jaren just because the price is really good for a guy that we know does have 50-plus point upside in him, just hasn't really done it this year. I don't know if that's just like a role change thing or him just kind of being rusty, but he has not played well. I would probably just look to Cedric Howard and Santi more so just because they're a lot cheaper and pretty on par with Jaren from a per minute standpoint with Ja off the court this season. I think that they'd both be pretty strong options here, especially Cedric Howard. I mean, this guy needs to be playing like 32-plus minutes. He's been one of their best players this season. So I'm pretty excited about some of these Grizzlies guys. And then on the Boston side, I really like whoever's going to be handling the ball is mainly going to be Jaylen Brown and Derek White. This is a back-to-back, so they might be limited a little bit, but both those guys are in pretty big spots here. The Grizzlies just giving up a ton of pick-and-roll points right now. So definitely a game I'm going to be waiting on. How are you looking at this game?
Yeah, pretty similarly. I'm with you on the Spencer over Suggs call, especially at what is presumed to be much lower ownership, especially if we get that news later. And like I said earlier, there are other outs, if Morant happens to play, but I'm with you. Midday downgrade. That team looks dysfunctional. He doesn't look good. I would be more surprised than not if he does play. So then you're going to get the other guys on Memphis. I don't really want to play Jaren Jackson. Like, it is DFS, so it's a salary game. On a lot of slates, I might really consider him tonight. But on this particular one, I don't think I need to in limited lineups. I'm with you on like Howard would be my second favorite after Spencer. I think those would be the two guys that I would be and am going to be like wanting to play here because I am under the presumption that Ja is not going to play tonight.
Yep. Anything on Boston you like or probably too thin for how many lineups you're playing?
I think you can play Jaylen Brown just because like he's a spend up option and has been really good this year outside of last night. Hurt me last night, but his usage has been unreal to start the season. So I think it would be Jaylen Brown for me. I think you're, playing games going to like the front court, but if you hit right, they certainly have upside. And the back court, I do see kind of similarly. I do like what I see from Derek White recently. I know you mentioned him, I think yesterday, must have been yesterday because they played yesterday, that he's started to turn things around. So I've liked what I've seen from him. And I think he projects pretty well at 7,300. The problem is just how many other good guard plays there are, and he's only point guard eligible. So this is one where, like, if I were playing 150, I'd likely be over the 10% owned he's going to be, but I don't know if I'll get to him in 1 to 3 lineups if that's what I'm playing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I mean, it's going to be tough with him just being point guard eligible because even like a really good game from him could be 45 to 50 DraftKings points, and that might not even be enough because we could see some of these other point guards get 40 DraftKings points, and then you're going to need them just from like a point per dollar and overall build standpoint. Yeah, same thing with Pritchard. Like all these guards are in a pretty good spot. You could definitely go to him with some level of confidence because I think there's a good chance somebody on Boston has a pretty good game. It's just like one of those things where Memphis's defense is really bad that you should always have some sort of consideration to an offense playing against them. So I think that I'm going to have some of these Boston guys for sure. But I agree. I think Brown and White are my preferred options, and then Pritchard. I don't think that Simons is like terrible either as a pivot. I want to look at some of the game logs, like the last time Boston blew a team out, because if he's out there in the blowout run, then that would definitely have me a little bit more interested in them, because I don't think that if Ja misses, these like Memphis is going to be able to hang around as much. So that would kind of get me onto him a little bit. And again, keep an eye on Jordan Walsh. He's playing really well, kind of outplaying Josh Mana right now. So I think that he's going to be starting and be useful. He might be useful tonight for DFS, to be honest.
Honestly, he might be my favorite play from Boston. That price point, like he's filling up the stat sheet, like in a game that is, in my opinion, kind of with you. Like I don't want to say likely to blow out, but not unlikely to blow out. And like he'll eat up a lot of those minutes, and he's getting run regularly. Like, it's a good call. I like that call.
Yeah. All right. Next game, we have the Cavaliers and Miami facing off. A rematch of a game from a few nights ago that was a massive shootout, as these Miami games have been. They've just been playing with a ton of pace. So definitely going to be a game you're going to get get some pieces on for sure on the Cavaliers side. I mean, this team has some crazy values, a bunch of 6+ values, and then everybody else is near 5. This is a spot I'm definitely looking to go to. And it's a good matchup. Miami's giving up a ton of 3-pointers right now. It's always been the kind of Spoelstra way, but I think just with the way that they're playing with pace has changed these game environments a ton to make it where you really want to get pretty deep into these games. What are you looking at on the Cavaliers side? Because we got a ton of really good value here.
Ton of really good value. I'm with you. And the first point you made, like at the beginning of the show about like avoiding the landmines, the value that looks really, really good, but ultimately isn't, is going to be important tonight because there's a lot of good plays on paper. For me, my favorite play, kind of in that vein, I think there's a bunch of really good plays. My personal favorite is Craig Porter. I love the $3,200 price tag. I think that outside Alonzo, he's really the only guy that can like run the offense, and he's still dirt cheap, almost min priced here. He's like my favorite 3K-ish value on the slate, at least as of right now. Things can change. Projecting well. I just pulled up our updated projections. We have him as the highest point per value play on the slate. So love seeing that. Like him a lot. I also do like Lonzo a lot. 4,500 tags, shooting guard eligibility. Jared Allen. Yeah. DeAndre Hunter. Yep. Sam Merrill. I think he's got a low floor, but a high ceiling in this spot, especially if we see a game like last time out. So yeah, I definitely want a lot of Cleveland or a bunch of Cleveland. It's going to be tough with Detroit, though. Like, you're really going to have to prioritize individual plays as opposed to, like, the spots that these teams are in. So, yeah, as of right now, if I were playing one lineup, Craig Porter would be in it. And then anywhere from, like, I don't know, 2 to 3 other Cavs, with, like, Lonzo being my second favorite. I like DeAndre Hunter, Merrill, and Allen a lot, too. So, how are you seeing it, like, at least on the same page there? Are there guys you like more or less than me?
No, I definitely am in agreement with you there on the Craig Porter Jr. stuff, and definitely Sam Merrill too. I think that this is a very, very aggressive projection on him, and if the ownership comes in, I think it could be higher than 23% in some of these single entry or just smaller field contests. That'd be one that I'm kind of looking to get away from, just because, like you said, the floor is really low. He doesn't do anything but shoot, really. And like I said, it's a great matchup for him, great matchup for 3-point shooters. So he could easily put up 6 to 7 threes tonight. I would not be surprised. But even then, like, is he doing enough rebounding and assists to top 30 to 35 DK points?
You're going to need that too.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't miss at any spot tonight on your roster, and definitely not the value plays. So that'd be one I'm kind of more looking to get away from. The point guard stuff, like the handling stuff, all these guys, Proctor, Lonzo, and Craig Porter Jr., all project really well. Only one person can have the ball in their hands at a time. So I don't know if I really love the idea of playing Craig Porter Jr. And really, I don't know if I want to play more than 2 of these guys together. The price is really cheap on Proctor and Craig Porter Jr., but I don't know if like we're really seeing 25 a piece from those guys, because Lonzo is playing 26 to 27 tonight for sure. So I think
it goes back to your point about like you need each guy to do really well here. So even if all those guys are good point per value plays, it's not going to be enough. Go ahead. Yeah,
exactly. So it might be a little too aggressive to be max one of those guys, but I'm considering it just because I just don't see a scenario where these guys might hit from a point per dollar perspective, but like you said, you really need ceiling from your value plays tonight. So I don't know, I might consider doing max one of those guys, but I have to see how those builds look. If it gets me onto like a weird play, like if I'm playing like a ton of Kevin Durant or something because I'm a max one of those guys, then I'd be okay changing the builds around a little bit. But I like a lot of these point guard, shooting guard values plays that I think I can kind of get away with that. So I'll probably be max one of those guys. And then, yeah, Jared Allen, really good. Little Nick did say that they are on a back-to-back, front end of a back-to-back. They play tomorrow. So good chance that Jared Allen and probably DeAndre Hunter play tonight and sit tomorrow. So they could really run up their minutes, maybe like 35 a piece from them. And that'd make them really, really strong plays in this fast-paced game environment. And then also the Larry Nance Q tag is semi-big just because that's another front court guy that they'll be down. How they fill that out, probably going to be some Luke Travers, I would imagine, maybe some Naquan Tomlin. They also have Thomas Bryant there. So they have guys to fill in that role. But yeah, I think that it's a good spot tonight for these Cleveland guys for sure. But I think I'm with you. Craig Porter Jr. is my favorite, then probably Allen, and then DeAndre Hunter. And then I'm looking to those secondary like Merrill, Alonzo, and Tyrese Proctor type guards.
I think the point you made about just real quick about just like playing all them together is really important on a slate like this, because normally on a lot of slates, especially since we don't have a ton of value, I'd be fine playing 2-3 of those guys here together. Maybe wouldn't want all three, but at least two of them. On this particular slate, especially if we get like Cam Spencer, there's so much opportunity cost at guard that like I'm with you. You're just going to need big scores from every position. It's difficult.
Yep. 100% agree there. Anything on the Miami side, it looks a little thin considering the slate. So I don't know if you really need to be prioritizing these guys, but obviously like Norm Powell, Ware, Jaime Jaquez all had really big games last time out, so you could consider them, but I don't know if you really need them tonight.
Yeah, it's one of those where like not going to be surprised if one of these Miami guys is really good, but on a slate with a lot of like mispriced guys, Miami is a team without any mispriced players. Yeah. So it's going to be a good spot for them. They kind of remind me of Boston. Like they're in a really good spot against a depleted Cleveland team, but all their price tags are right. So certainly in this spot, one or two or three guys might get there, but I'm not sure who it's going to be. And there's no one that stands out on paper.
Yeah. Great point to make there. All right. Another game that should be pretty high scoring, at least on one side of the game. Portland heading into New Orleans to take on this terrible New Orleans defense. Really think this is a good spot for some of these Portland guys. This New Orleans team just giving up a ton of points all over the place. I mean, their rim defense has been horrible. Their transition defense, 3-point defense, everything, pick and roll has all been really bad. So I'm really excited about some of these Portland guys tonight. The only thing that worries me is that they might not be needed for full run, because I think that there's a really good chance with how well that they have played on both ends of the court that they'll blow this team out. But I mean, Denny looks really good. Drew looks good. I think if we knew that Shaedon Sharpe was back to full and playing like 32, 33 minutes tonight, he'd be a smash play at 6.5K in an elite matchup. But these guys also seem pretty appropriately priced, so I'm not really thinking that I'm going to need to go for these guys. I do like looking at some of the optimal builds. I was seeing Kevin Durant as a guy that was popping into those. I would probably find the money to get up to Denny just because I think that from a true ceiling standpoint, his is much more appealing. But yeah, right now it's just I don't really know if these Portland guys are going to be needed. And the same thing on New Orleans. There's way too much good value. I think that Trey Murphy is probably a little overprojected and overowned just for the matchup, especially he's going to be seeing Toumani Camara on defense, which is a spot I'm always looking to get away from. I guess like Sadiq Bey and Herb Jones are fine. I imagine Missy is going to be back into the rotation at some point, so that kind of takes away the appeal of Derek Queen and Kevon Looney if they had any on the slate. I guess Fears because he probably plays in a blowout, but there's so much good point guard value that you probably don't need much, if anything, from this game. Are you seeing anything differently than me?
Nah, not even a little bit. Like, I don't want the value from the New Orleans side because I think there's so much better value and they're not in a good spot. The Portland side, I'm a little bit worried about the blowout, but you got to spend your money somewhere on this slate. And with like the lack of spend out options outside of Wemby, I think Denny does look really, really good. Again, if Portland blows out here, I'm sure that Denny had a large part to do with it. Maybe you don't get like the ultimate upside score, but maybe New Orleans hangs around a little bit and it's not like a complete wash. So I think Denny, it sounds like for you too, is by far my favorite piece of this game, especially because you'll have the salary to get to him pretty easily. So other than that, I think everyone else on Portland, similar to like Boston that we talked about, and they're in a good spot. So like Drew could easily play him here. There's just so many other guards that are a higher priority to me. I think Denny is really the only guy that I'm prioritizing at this moment.
Yep. 100% agree there. And then Andrew asked if Denny was a pivot off of Bridges. It looks like he's going to be a third of the ownership projected now, but I think that this changes. I think it'll probably come in closer together. But if it is like this, if it is going to be like 30-10, I would definitely be considering Denny as a pivot there because he's got probably higher upside overall, but I would say that the floor is probably a little bit lower.
I could see Denny being higher owned.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's similar though. Like Denny's been pretty popular, and this is a really steep tag for Bridges. Like there's no LaMelo, but like there's some sticker shock at $8,600 Bridges.
Yeah, for sure. All right, move over to this next game. Washington taking on the Rockets in Houston. Really good spot for Houston as well, similar to Portland of the last slate or of the last game. Really like some of these spend ups on Houston tonight. I think that Sengun and Amen Thompson, just for the things that they do well, are in a very, very good spot here. Washington is one of the worst defenses in the league. They play pretty fast paced. Rockets are playing up in pace as well. But Sengun just in a really, really big spot here against a Wizards team that just continues to give up huge fantasy scores to opposing centers year after year. I could definitely see Sengun going for a triple-double here just with Houston being able to score at will. They run their offense through him. So I really like Sengun as a spend up. And then Amen Thompson, I wish that he had shooting guard or like small forward eligibility. He's only point guard now, which is the main reason I probably won't be getting to too much of him. But I do think that the upside is really high for him. So I do want to have some. I don't know what I'm going to end up with just because it's really tough with how strong the guard position is down low. But I mean, there's a lot really working in his favor here. Washington is bottom 4 in turnover percentage, bottom 5 in rim defense, dead last in transition defense. He's one of the best guys just cutting backdoor. Sengun should be able to find him a ton with how weak the rim defense is. So I really do love the matchup for Amen, but I just struggle with just the eligibility stuff. And then KD going to be getting some ownership mainly just due to the positional stuff. You're going to be landing on that 8K range a lot at small forward and forward. I don't really love it just because I don't think that the role has been very good for him. And if this game gets out of hand, they're not going to be playing a 37-year-old Durant late into a game. Like he's going to be one of the first guys that gets pulled. So I don't really love him at Saberson has him pretty low right now. I think it probably comes in a little bit higher, but we'll have to see. 4% is good. I'd probably be like 6%, 7% if that's what it actually ended up at. But if he's like 12 to 15, I would look to get underweight there. Washington side, not a ton to really pick on here. I mean, Sarr has played great. CJ's had some massive outings. So if you're playing one of those guys, I'd probably be looking to get into like a game stack. Like if one of Sarr or CJ, one of Amen, Katie, or Sengun is something that I might implement tonight. But I doubt I get to too much of them. They just don't really look that great. Really good value plays at those positions. Probably don't need to go there. But Whitmore is getting a lot of ownership and a lot of love right now at 3.5K. He's been playing a little bit more. They're overlapping him a bit with some of the starters. So he's fine. The positional eligibility is really good, and he's probably playing blowout, low revenge game as well. So that's kind of what I'm seeing in this one. How do you feel about this game?
Yeah, I think all the like Whitmore value type plays go to the wayside when we get the Detroit news that those guys are going to be out. And then all of a sudden you're going to have like Charlotte, Milwaukee, Detroit, Cleveland. It's going to make a lot of the other value like not really optimal to get to on paper. Sengun is by far my favorite piece of this game. I'm with you. Big upside here. I'm very worried about the blowout. Washington blew their wad last time out against Detroit, lost in overtime in a game they easily should have won. Could see them just getting absolutely rolled here, which they probably would get rolled anyways because they stink and Houston's good. So blowout concerns real. But again, like if Houston is blowing out Washington, someone's going to get there. Sengun, massive upside here. He's my favorite piece. The guy I like a lot that I would on a lot of slates play a ton of. On this one, it's hard. Is Reed Shepherd. Already getting good run. I think he plays a lot of blowout run as well. So kind of in like the Jordan Walsh vein, like already in the rotation. And if it blows out, he'll just get more minutes with the ball in his hands. So Reed Shepherd, I'm buying what he's selling. I think this is like a nice buy low time for Shepherd. I'm just not sure this is the slate for it.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. I want to play him. He's been fitting into his role very nicely over the last few games. So I definitely agree that if this was like if we had Giannis, if we had Donovan Mitchell and Mobley in tonight, then you're probably looking at some Reed Shepherd, but probably just don't need to go there tonight. I would say Eason is kind of similar to, just because in a game where Washington's going to be turning over a ton and they're going to get a lot of easy transition buckets, Eason and Amen are the two guys, like the first two guys that come to my mind when I'm thinking about this type of matchup. So I would keep in my player pool as well and try to get over the field there. Little Neck needs more reasons to not play Reed Shepherd. Is the biggest Reed Shepherd truther in the world, probably. All right, Golden State and San Antonio. I think the Golden State side is pretty straightforward. Like, even if we get news of Jonathan Kuminga being out, I mean, Draymond Green's off the injury report. He could get ruled out later in the game because they were kind of uncertain about his availability for this game. We'll see what happens, but right now, I mean, I just don't see how you can like prioritize these Warrior guys. Steph is the only one I'd really even consider, but again, you have really good point guard value, so I don't think that you need anybody on Golden State tonight. I'd probably be unchecking them in my player pool. But the Spurs side looks really good. The Warriors have been kind of trending down defensively, especially against guards. So I think that Fox and Castle are in pretty good spots here. I kind of like Castle a lot. He's been, I mean, with Fox back, Same. He has been splitting. Yeah, he's been splitting the role a little bit more, but I mean, he's outperforming him by a ton. Triple or double in 3 straight games. He's got to be in consideration for most improved, like him and Duran and Sarr and some of these other guys. They've been playing really well, but Castle's really, really played very well. And having Fox back hasn't really taken down the upside that everybody was thinking was going to happen. It might happen sooner than later, just in close games. I think that they'll probably lean on Fox a little bit more. I think the Spurs should win this game. I like Castle a lot. And then I also love Wemby. I think that he, after the few down games, the big game against Chicago is a big confidence boost. I think that having Fox out there definitely helps him out a ton because he was getting doubled in some of those games against Phoenix and the Lakers to make it a little bit tougher for him to find buckets. We're going to need to spend our money. I think Wemby is the guy I'm going to be going to. 11.6K is a good price tag for him. How do you feel about this game?
Yeah, we see this one like really, really similarly. Castle doesn't project nearly as well as he should, in my opinion. Like, it's tough because there's so many good guard plays, but he's a low-owned, spend up to be contrarian type of guy with monster upside at that tag. So I'm interested in Castle. Wemby too. Like, Wemby is the classic case of just like, you're going to have money to spend. A lot of the other studs are out. Almost survival of the fittest as far as spend-up options go. So he's going to look great, especially as we get more value, which we're going to get. It will be tricky, though, because we talked about Jared Allen. We talked about Sengun. We talked about Wemby. And then Paul Reed will become the best play of all of them, probably, as far as a points per dollar perspective, if Duran's out. And if Duran's in, Durham himself looks really good. And that's not even talking about guys like Miles Turner, Moussa Diabate, we talked about a little earlier. It's one of those slates where there's just going to be really good plays, like all over. A lot of like the 5th, 6th best plays at a position on a lot of slates would be the best play. But tonight, there's a lot of good ones. Yeah, we see this really similarly. Castle and Wemby. I'm fine with Fox, but I'd rather get to Castle. And the Golden State side is they might be the worst team on the slate to get to.
Yeah, it's got to be them. I mean, yeah, they're probably the worst. Like, you could say the Pelicans are up there, but you could consider
at least they're cheap.
Guys. Yeah, this is just like these price tags are crazy, and they should have been adjusting them last night. This was like the pre-Steph Curry illness, and they just kept their prices where they are. They got to bring these way down. Yeah, I just think if you're playing these Golden State guys, you're probably getting a little bit too cute tonight, so would not really consider them. Last game on the slate is the Phoenix Suns taking on the lowly Dallas Mavericks, who there was a chance that Anthony Davis is going to play, and now they're talking about him missing extended time with the potential calf strain. Calf strains usually lead into Achilles tear, so they're going to take it very slow with him. Obviously, a lot of drama surrounding Dallas right now. They just fired their GM, Nico, after the worst trade in probably sports history. Less than a year after the trade happened. So you have any thoughts on that? And if not, we can just jump into the game.
What a weird just situation to be in if you're on Dallas, especially like a rookie who wasn't there last year, like Cooper Flag. I definitely think this was a case of addition by subtraction, especially with how bad Dallas started out. They had to get rid of Nico, even though it doesn't really make sense to do it right now. It just makes sense because they had to let him go. Like, he had to get out of there. The vibes are so bad. The brand is just continuing to lose appeal. They had to make the move. I do think that you see kind of a breath of fresh air from Dallas. They might play better tonight, maybe going into the next couple of games. But ultimately, this isn't a good basketball team, especially without Kyrie and Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis looks like he's not in shape. And everything I've heard from like that situation is he has been trying to play because he wanted to save Nico's job. And the only way for them to really win is if he's in. But the owner now kind of superseded Nico when he was still there and like wouldn't allow it based off of what happened last year with AD, which is just a messy situation. My honest take on all this, like everything else aside, they need to deal AD next. They need to get rid of all this like dirty Luka laundry and just start fresh. It's their only option.
Yeah, I don't think I could have put that better myself. Yeah, just a very, very odd situation. I did see something that Clay turned down like 4 for 80 from the Lakers to go play with Luka in Dallas, and then they end up trading Luka to the Lakers, and
now he's coming off the bench.
Yeah, and just looks like he's on the tail end of his career. So tough scene for everyone in Dallas, but at least they got Cooper Flag. They got a couple. If
they somehow get Cooper Flag and then one of the studs next year, like Boozer or DiBenasta or Darren Peterson, like then they fell into just a really good spot probably, but that's just luck more than anything else.
Yeah. It's funny that people like there's all this stuff going on with the gambling stuff, and now people are like highly convinced that it was rigged for them to get the number 1 overall pick after the Luka trade, just with all like the weird gambling stuff. I don't know how you could rig something like that based off what I've heard with all like the room and like the lottery. Yeah, it's gotta be impossible.
I think people have a hard time separating like individuals that do their own thing, like we've seen with like the baseball players and NBA players, as opposed to like large corporations or like conglomerates doing something which is almost impossible to get by. Yeah, for sure. All right, I spent enough time on that. Dallas is terrible, and I think we're going to want to attack them in DFS for sure. Another, just kind of the theme of the slate, like I would love Devin Booker on any other slate just because I just love attacking this Dallas team, especially with like lead on-ball guards, because they really have nothing that can slow anybody down right now. Just Max Christie doesn't really do it. I don't really think that Brandon Williams is like too great of a defensive guard, so I would love Devin Booker on any other slate. On this one, it's going to be tough because I think that we'll probably need like 60 plus from him, which is for sure within the range of outcomes. Yeah, I mean, I like him. I'll definitely have him in my player pool, but I think that I'm going to just continue to spend down at point guard and shooting guard tonight. So probably don't get to much of him or much of Phoenix at all. But another guy that kind of, acts as like a pivot in that low or upper 4K, like mid 4K range at guard is Brandon Williams. I think that they're going to have to just continue to start him. He's been outplaying D'Angelo Russell in a pretty big way. And another guy that like in years past has been a pretty solid point per minute guy. This season, he's had, pretty solid games over the last 4 and, got up to 33 minutes in his start the last time out. So I kind of like him. Like if I'm looking at that Suggs range, he would be the guy that I think is the easiest swap off of Jalen Suggs, because he does stuff with his, like he's a high usage guy, pretty solid scorer with the ball in his hands, a good per minute guy, can dish it out. So I definitely like Brandon Williams the most on the Dallas side. But then I also like Cooper Flag with no AD, and adding in a point guard alongside him, I think helps his overall upside. So those are the only 2 guys I'm really considering. I think that PJ Washington is fine because we've seen the upside from him, but probably asking for a little bit too much at 7K. But I think Flag and Brandon Williams are probably the best plays in this game. Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's just tough to prioritize anyone. As far as Booker goes, we see this exactly the same. Like I want Booker tonight, but you do need like 60 plus from him here, as to how you put it. I wasn't really thinking about it like that, but I think that's a really good way to put it. And yeah, he can do that, but there's just better plays on paper that are going to project better from a points per dollar perspective. So like in 150 settings, I'd want some Booker, but hard to like prioritize him as a core player or anything like that. Dallas, I'm with you on Brandon Williams. I think he probably looks like the best piece from Dallas. Ultimately, though, like there's just so many good plays like across all price points. He's probably going to be someone that just falls through the cracks for me. Like that said, on a lot of slates, he would be like one of the absolute best plays. But we've talked about so many point guards, so many shooting guards that are really good plays. We'll probably get more with the Detroit news and other news. Seems like forever ago. It seems like years ago we talked about Ryan Rollins, who still looks really, really good here. So, yeah, just tons of good plays. I want to like this game more than I actually think I will get to from a DFS perspective. I do think you see like a good Dallas effort here and a close game.
Yeah. Yeah, we've started to see the Cooper flag that was advertised coming into the league the last, a few times out of the last couple games. The game against New Orleans was a really good one. Milwaukee was probably his best game as a pro, 26 points in that one, fell 1 rebound shy of the double-double. So I do think that he probably has a little bit more hidden upside that we've actually seen from him, and he's getting little to no ownership. So I think that he's pretty good as like a mid-tier option in that 7K range.
I think to your point, kind of taking it a step further, I think there's a lot of meat on the bone at that $6,900 price tag. And I do think that there's, like you said, hidden upside there. So maybe he is the guy because like he doesn't project like one of these underpriced guys, but maybe he is. And he's not getting owned as such. And ultimately, like I've said, you're going to have to spend your money somewhere. So yeah, I'm with that.
Yep. Ja is questionable tonight. We both think that he sits, but even if he's in, I don't think that either of us were really that excited on him. Tough matchup, and he's just been playing really, really poorly. I think he almost had a triple-double with assists or with turnovers last night. I think he had like 7 in the first half or something. Just a really, really rough outing for him. Probably going to get traded pretty soon.
It's sad what's happened to him in that situation.
Yeah, for sure. There's still hope for him to turn around. He's still young, obviously extremely talented. Maybe it just needs to be like a change in environment. We'll see what happens there. I think talked about the last time we did a show, but Trey for Ja, make it happen, and then just kind of move on. I think that'll make everybody happy. All right, that is going to do it then. We got through all these games in less than an hour, which is surprising, but yeah, did a great job talking through it. Always like doing these shows with you, man. Any closing thoughts?
No, good luck to everyone tonight. Good luck to you, Rio. I know you've been close to the top a bunch of times recently, so I know you're going to get all the way to the top hopefully tonight.
Yep. If it's not me, I hope it's you. And if it's not you, then obviously I hope that everyone in the Ship It Nation Discord has another solid night. And just a last minute reminder as well. We're going to be doing that giveaway probably in the next 7 minutes with Wardo. Had a huge night last night, wants to give back to the community. That's going to be Discord members only. So if you aren't, then this is probably a good time for me to do a little marketing. But I don't know what our deals we have going on right now are, so I'm going to bypass that part. But definitely check out the site. And we'll see you guys in a few minutes. And I'll be back on Friday with Ham. And also tomorrow, the Saber Sim show with Nades, who people loved the last time we did that. So I'm excited for that one. But all right, we'll catch you guys later. Good luck tonight.